What if I told you your chronic fatigue, stubborn weight, and brain fog all trace back to a microscopic traffic jam inside your cells? It's not your fault. You've been told to eat in a way that causes metabolic chaos. But once you see what's really happening every time you eat, everything changes. Hi everyone, my name is Marc Bates. I'm a metabolic health coach, and this is part of my highlights presentation. The real reason you're always tired, the metabolic traffic jam inside your cells, or what is metabolic flexibility? Did you know your cells are fighting over every meal? Inside your mitochondria, a biochemical argument erupts every time you eat. Glucose and fatty acids compete for the same metabolic machinery, each trying to dominate energy production. This cellular conflict explains why the balanced diet advice you've heard your entire life might be fundamentally flawed. The Randle Cycle describes this fuel competition with scientific precision. When both glucose and fatty acids flood your cells simultaneously, neither can be processed efficiently. The result? Metabolic gridlock. The cellular traffic jam. When you consume a meal high in both carbohydrates and fats, your mitochondria face an impossible choice. Fatty acid oxidation produces acetyl-CoA and NADH, which directly inhibit pyruvate dehydrogenase, the key enzyme needed for glucose metabolism. Meanwhile, glucose drives insulin secretion, promoting glucose uptake, but with pyruvate dehydrogenase blocked, glucose accumulates inside cells, triggering stress pathways. The excess glucose gets shunted into damaging alternative routes. The polyol pathway increases sorbitol and osmotic stress. The hexosamine pathway alters protein function. Advanced glycation end products trigger inflammation. Your cells weren't designed for this dual fuel overload. Simultaneously, fatty acid oxidation continues unchecked, driving up mitochondrial NDH and FADH2. The electron transport chain slows under this pressure, causing reactive oxygen species to leak from complex 1 and 3. Energy production plateaus despite abundant fuel availability. This is metabolic inflexibility in action. Okay, let's talk about ancient wisdom, though, and modern chaos. The Randle Cycle evolved as a survival mechanism, not a design flaw. Our ancestors faced seasonal food scarcity and intermittent fasting, not constant abundance. In summer, they consumed carbohydrate-rich fruits and roots. In winter, they relied on stored fat and animal meat. The metabolic switch between these fuel sources provided crucial advantages. During fasting periods, fatty acid oxidation preserved glucose for the brain and red blood cells. When glucose became available, fat oxidation was suppressed to allow glycogen restoration. This fuel switching mechanism maximized efficiency while minimizing oxidative damage from overloaded mitochondria. Modern eating patterns break this ancient system. We consume both macronutrients simultaneously, 16 hours per day, with no metabolic rest periods. The productive mechanism becomes a metabolic trap. Insulin, the stuck switch. So insulin acts as the master controller in this fuel competition. When insulin levels rise, cells prioritize glucose oxidation while suppressing fatty acid metabolism. This switch was meant to flip intermittently. Insulin would rise briefly after meals, then fall during fasting periods, allowing fat oxidation to resume. Chronic hyperinsulinemia jams the switch in the glucose position. Fat oxidation remains suppressed even when glucose metabolism becomes inefficient. The consequences cascade through every metabolic pathway. Visceral fat accumulates, the liver converts excess glucose to triglycerides, insulin receptors downregulate, requiring higher insulin levels to achieve the same effect. The system designed for metabolic flexibility becomes rigidly locked in glucose dependency. But ketones, and they're more than fuel. When insulin levels finally drop through fasting or carbohydrate restriction, something remarkable happens. The body begins producing ketones, particularly beta-hydroxybutyrate. These molecules function as more than alternative fuel sources. They act as signaling molecules that orchestrate cellular repair and optimization. Beta hydroxybutyrate inhibits histone deacetylase, enzymes that normally suppress gene expression. When these enzymes are blocked, protective genes become active. FOXO3A expression increases, enhancing longevity and antioxidant responses. BDNF production rises, supporting neuroplasticity and cognitive function. PGC1 alpha activation drives mitochondrial biogenesis. The cellular machinery begins rebuilding itself for efficient fat oxidation. Inflammatory pathways quiet as the NLRP3 inflammasome is inhibited. The NAD plus NADH ratio improves, reducing oxidative stress. Mitochondrial antioxidant defenses strengthen. This isn't just metabolic adaptation, it's cellular rejuvenation. The medical disconnect. Despite this biochemical evidence, mainstream medicine often views ketosis with suspicion. The confusion stems from conflating nutritional ketosis with diabetic ketoacidosis. Nutritional ketosis produces beta hydroxybutyrate levels of 0.5 to 5 millimoles a liter with normal blood glucose and pH. Diabetic ketoacidosis involves levels exceeding 15 millimoles a liter with dangerously high glucose and acidic pH. The difference is physiologically profound, yet clinically overlooked. Medical education provides minimal training in nutritional biochemistry or evolutionary physiology. Concepts like metabolic flexibility and the Randle Cycle remain absent from standard curricula. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical approaches focus on managing metabolic dysfunction rather than reversing it. Therapies that reduce drug dependence receive less institutional support. The result is a healthcare system that treats symptoms while ignoring the cellular traffic jam causing them. So we need to restore our metabolic flexibility. The path back to metabolic health begins with understanding your body's ancient intelligence. Your mitochondria remember how to burn fat efficiently. Your cells retain the capacity for fuel flexibility. The first step involves creating space between meals. Allow insulin levels to fall. Give your cells time to switch from glucose to fat oxidation. Start with a 12 to 14 hour overnight fast. Delay breakfast. Eliminate snacking between meals. Eat 2 to 3 satisfying, nutrient-dense meals daily. These changes lower insulin pressure and reawaken dormant fat-burning pathways. Citrate levels normalize, allowing glycolytic enzymes to function properly when glucose is present. The mitochondrial machinery begins adapting. CPT1 expression increases, facilitating fatty acid entry into mitochondria. Beta oxidation enzymes upregulate. The electron transport chain becomes more efficient. Energy production stabilizes, mental clarity improves, and appetite regulation returns. Beyond fuel, let's talk about cellular communication. This metabolic restoration involves more than changing fuel sources. It requires reestablishing communication between your conscious choices and your cellular intelligence. Your body speaks through hunger and satiety signals, energy levels, and mood changes. Years of constant feeding have created static in this communication system. Creating meal spacing allows signals to recalibrate. True hunger emerges. Distinct from cravings or emotional triggers, satiety becomes reliable rather than elusive. The hypothalamus regains sensitivity to leptin and ghrelin. The reward pathways in your brain reset their baseline expectations. This isn't about restriction or punishment, it's about partnership with your body's adaptive capacity. We have a paradigm shift we have to work with. The most profound realization in this journey transcends biochemistry. Your body isn't broken or defective. It's running ancient survival software in a modern environment that overwhelms its adaptive capacity. The extra weight represents a survival buffer, not a failure. Insulin resistance functions as a protective mechanism against fuel overload. Energy crashes signal metabolic inflexibility, not laziness. Understanding this removes shame from the healing process. Your cells want to function optimally. Your mitochondria remember their role as metabolic shapeshifters. The path forward involves removing the noise that drowns out your body's native intelligence. Every cell contains the blueprint for health. Every mitochondrion retains the capacity for efficient energy production. You're not starting from zero. You're returning home to your biological destination or design. So, what we have is an ancient operating system. Modern medicine has forgotten that humans evolved with sophisticated metabolic flexibility. Our ancestors thrived on intermittent ketosis, seasonal eating patterns, and natural fasting cycles. These weren't extreme practices, they were normal human physiology. The extreme behavior is eating processed foods every few hours while maintaining sedentary lifestyles. This constant fuel input without metabolic reset creates the cellular chaos we now call normal. Restoring metabolic flexibility means rediscovering this lost operating system. It means trusting your body's ancient wisdom while providing the conditions it needs to function optimally. Your mitochondria are waiting to remember their role as efficient, flexible energy producers. Your cells are ready to communicate clearly about their needs. The biochemical machinery for health already exists within you. The Randle Cycle, properly understood, becomes a tool for optimization rather than a source of dysfunction. Every meal becomes an opportunity to support rather than overwhelm your cellular intelligence. Every fast becomes a chance for metabolic renewal. This is the return to metabolic freedom, freedom your body has been waiting for. So, I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you for sticking with us. If you have questions or comments, please put them in the appropriate section. This is a community here. We're here to learn together and to help. If you have some ideas or questions that you want me to produce some videos on to help you, let me know. We'll work on them right away. All right? And as always, if you haven't liked, subscribed, shared this video with somebody else, hit the bell icon. You know the drill. It helps the channel a great deal. You will help other people by helping them get this message. I appreciate your help. Thank you so much.